So coaching presence, which is basically the book is about what the title suggests. So it's a way of being able to think about your presence in coaching, which actually is paradoxical because you don't want to be thinking about your coaching. But for me, it's about you think about something to a point of becoming competent so that then you can become unconsciously competent. So it's about thinking about it and then being able to let it rest and fall into your being. So the book has a number of elements to it. So to start off with, the first thing is about understanding the kinds of things that may be impacting and influencing your presence. So it just gives you some general ideas of the sorts of things to think about. So things like personality preferences, upbringing, values, beliefs, judgments, assumptions, the hooks that you can get caught into when you're coaching a client. All these kind of things the things that influence you as a person will influence you while you're coaching, because you can't put aside who you are just for that time when you're coaching. So all of these things that influence the person that you are will be influencing you while you're coaching. And some of them will be quite noticeable and others will take a bit of time to notice. So the book offers just some ideas of things to think about, to look out for, and perhaps with the help of external help like another coach or a supervisor or diagnostic tools, those kind of things, you can explore the kind of things that might be influencing and impacting your coaching. And that's not to say that those things are good or bad, because sometimes it will be helpful and sometimes it won't be so helpful, but it's just understanding what those things are. So this is about the awareness, consciousness of things that you can be impacting. So that's one element of the book. So then the next bit is about that being ready, being prepared, preparing the environment, preparing yourself, preparing the client, in order to be able to be how you want to be in the coaching. So it's the thinking about how you use the environment, how you locate yourself with your client, how you prepare yourself to be able to access your inner wisdom, to be able to then do what's right for the client, and then help the client to be in the place where they can access their inner wisdom. So it's about creating that environment, and part of this is to do with the contracting as well beforehand. It's all the kind of the lead up to the coaching, which will then impact and influence the actual coaching and the way that you can be in the coaching. So then we move into the being, the presence in the coaching, and the book offers 4 different modes of being in the coaching, and the 4 modes they can be seen as 4 steps to take the client into different levels of awareness. So the book talks about levels of awareness that we're trying to bring out in the client, and we need to help the client to go into those lower levels of awareness where they are likely to learn things that they don't know at the moment. The first 2 levels, probably the client knows already. A bit of thought, a bit of thinking will help them to find that, which is useful in itself. But if we want to get transformation in our clients, we want to take those their levels of awareness down into those deeper levels. So the 4 modes are interchangeable, but they can be used in an order. So the first mode is invisible coach mode. So invisible coach is not about the coach being invisible. It's about helping the client to access their own invisible coach, access their own inner wisdom. So invisible coach mode is about the coach paying attention to the client and giving them the time and space to think things through for themselves. And that mode will go through all of the other modes. You will use, say, emergent coach mode and go back into invisible coach mode while the client then goes and carries on exploring. The same with the other modes. So invisible coach mode is that first, where there's nothing of yourself in the coaching. You are just being there, paying attention and being there. You're not offering interventions. All you're doing is maybe reflecting back some of the words, some of the questions maybe that the client is asking of themselves. They're not new questions that you're interacting. The client asks the question. If they don't answer it in invisible coach mode, you throw that question back to them. So invisible coach mode is the first one, and threads through the rest. Then you have emergent coach mode. So there's a bit more of the coach in the coaching. So in this mode, the coach is offering an intervention to the client to enable them to look at it differently. The idea for me about coaching, in particular emergent coach mode, is helping the client to use their brain in a different way. Because when they use their brain in a different way, they see the situation differently, and that almost automatically throws up new thinking for them, new solutions, new options, that kind of thing. So when we're using emergent coach mode, we're offering different ways of thinking and different ways of looking at the situation. Then we move into evident coach mode, and there's much more of the coach themselves in evident coach mode. So what's happening is the coach is sharing something of themselves. So it might be feelings that they're experiencing, sensations in the body, images that pop into the head, words that pop into the head. It might be some knowledge that they have. It might be a tool or a technique or a model, that when the client has an understanding of a particular model, they can then explore the situation in a different way. So the last one is visible coach mode. So this is where there is the coach is taking more of a stand in the coaching. You're kind of pushing and directing the client to look in certain areas that maybe they've been avoiding or not noticed before. So you might be provoking something in them, you might be challenging some of their thinking, kind of prodding them or pushing them into looking at a particular way. At the end of the day, the client has got the decision. They decide whether they're going to go there or not. But you're deliberately doing this because you know, as the coach, the potential for the learning that is in there. If you do it in the right way, the client will go there. They might take a little bit of pushing, but they're going, and their learning will be that much deeper. I wrote this book partly because I was trying to move my coaching forward, and I realised quite some time ago that coaching is not just about the tools and techniques that are being learned. That as you develop in your coaching, those tools and techniques kind of change and fade, and you start to do something different, and it's about the relationship. And it's taken me quite a long time, I would say, to get to a point where I was beginning to understand all these different elements that come into play. So I wrote the book with the idea of helping coaches who were kind of going through those early developmental stages. So they've probably come through some kind of coach training, and they've learned a few tools and techniques, and potentially starting to realise that it's not just about the tools and techniques. And my hope is that actually people will get to a level of presence within their coaching which is a bit more mature in their coaching, a bit more Megan's and Clutterbuck call it the systemic eclectic coach. So they get to that stage actually at a faster pace than I did. So hopefully they can read this early on in their development and start to develop those other aspects of the coaching, not just the tools and techniques.